Hey, what's up boys and girls? It's your boy Z back again with another video, and today I'll be showing you how to spin to win in Crucible as Drakahl. Okay, so congratulations on making it this far in the video. If you haven't quit by now, then you must really be determined to piss the enemy team off by playing this literal gorilla of a hunter. Okay, like who the hell's idea was it to make this broken ass character anyways? Okay. In all realness, Drakahl is a pretty straightforward hunter with a bread and butter kit. He features a dash skill that allows him to stick to enemies, self-healing capabilities, and an AoE stun, a grapple, which misses a ton but stay tuned for a nifty trick, and the ability to literally turn into Hurricane Harvey. Drakahl is one of the only two hunters currently available in Crucible that has melee range specific mechanics, making Drakahl's kit a lot more different than other hunter playstyles, the other being Shikiri, but she's kinda on both sides of the fence because she uses a pistol that hits harder than a wingman with skull piercer to the face. Okay, first off, let me explain how Drakahl's abilities work. Apart from his jetpack dash and the sonic pulse he fires from his axe, Drakahl's enraged roar and resonating axe have two different forms. To simplify, I'll refer to these as his E stance and R stance. You'll see why in a second. Let's start with the E stance first. Bound to the Q key by default, once Drakahl is in this state, the player can then choose to either activate the enraged claw or enraged grab by clicking the left or right mouse buttons. E claw is a close range melee attack that gives Drakahl a short heal over time buff. E grab, as the name entails, lets you fire off a grappling hook that yoinks the enemy towards you so you can unleash your inner scorpion from Mortal Kombat. Oh, it's also worth saying that enemies can't use abilities or auto attack when grappled. In R stance, Drakahl can let off a resonating quake by tapping the right mouse button or the infamous resonating spin with the left mouse button. In R quake, Drakahl jumps into the air and slams into the ground with his axe, sending an AoE stun in a medium radius around him. This also deals damage. In R spin, well, you know what R spin does. If we take a look at his passives, we can see how each ability is affected per level in game. At level 1, there are 3 options. A passive that reduces the cooldown of Drakahl's dash per each successful auto attack, an added damage over time to all auto attacks on targets under 50% HP, and a passive that adds a 3-second vulnerability to quick melees. At level 2, Drakahl gains a passive that turns 25% of immediate income damage into damage over time. At level 3, you can choose between a 15% damage buff when under 50% HP, a passive that detects targets with damage over time on them within 80 meters, or a buff to Drakahl's sonic pulse, allowing it to destroy enemy projectiles. At level 4, damage does not interrupt Drakahl's use of medkits anymore. And at level 5, you can either choose between an added 1.5 seconds of invincibility when entering your E stance, or another buff to Drakahl's sonic pulse, allowing it to slow targets hit. My recommended build for all current game modes is to use the first option at every level. The dash cooldown passive at level 1 allows Drakahl to stick close to fleeing enemies or to disengage when needed. Waiting for your dash to come off cooldown creates a huge window of vulnerability in combat, so this passive is a must for mobility's sake. At level 3, I take the 15% damage buff when below half HP, as this allows Drakahl to secure kills much more efficiently, both when dueling singular opponents and when fighting in groups. Because of the level 2 passive plus the HP regen from E-Claw, Drakahl is incredibly hard to take down as a large portion of incoming damage is turned into damage over time, which Drakahl can offset with his healing. Staying in a fight below 50% HP is not as hard as it seems, and a 15% damage buff throughout a whole team fight makes Drakahl punch harder than that one kid who always used to bully you back in elementary school. If for any reason you're not hitting your E-Claws, and you're getting a little too close to death, the level 4 passive allows Drakahl to disengage and pop a quick medkit while still being in combat. Just make sure you pop that medkit early, or the damage over time passive will kill you. The added invincibility passive at level 5 is way too good to pass up, as this provides Drakahl a small window where there's no immediate damage being taken, and more importantly, no dots are taken. You're literally defying death.
What do we say to the god of death?
Not today.
Alright, now that you have an understanding of Drakahl's abilities and passives, let's talk mechanics. Like I said, Drakahl excels at sticking to the enemy, which makes your opponents crumble under the intense pressure of your dominance.
Ah, headshot.
Another skill that Drakahl excels in is closing gaps. Usually in teamfights you'll want to stay somewhere out of range where the enemy won't expect you to dash in and dunk on their asses with an R-Quake. Players that are not used to playing against Drakahl will always underestimate the ground that he can cover with his dash quake combo. And even if they are familiar with Drakahl, then it'll be too late for them to do anything since you'll be hiding like Tekashi 6ix9ine and they'll already be focusing combat on your teammates. Double tapping the spacebar makes Drakahl perform a jump, then a short dash in whatever direction you're moving. That being said, this dash can be used side to side and even while moving backwards. This versatility makes Drakahl incredibly annoying to chase as enemies are usually met with several sonic booms to the face while Drakahl bunny hops away. Double jumping is Drakahl's main form of movement. In almost all of my clips you can see that I maneuver around the map in this technique as it's much faster than Drakahl's normal running speed and can tie in with Drakahl's dash ability. Now let's talk about that jetpack implant. When used, the dash ability will propel Drakahl in whatever direction the crosshairs are facing at the time of use. This means that Drakahl can not only dash upwards into the air, but can dash downwards off cliff ledges to reach the ground faster. The dash ability has a natural lengthy cooldown, so it can't be abused to get around the map like the double jump can, but with a level 1 passive, Drakahl will almost always have the dash off cooldown as long as enemies are hit with auto attacks. This cooldown passive counts for each enemy hit, so if Drakahl's auto swings through 2 enemies, then the dash cooldown is reduced by 2 seconds instead of 1. To sweeten Drakahl's movement kit even further, the dash ability can be chained into the double jump and vice versa. However, Drakahl must touch the ground before another double jump can occur, so you can't double jump, then dash, then double jump again. It's either placed once before or after the dash. Okay, so that should be it for the major movement mechanics. Let's run through the juiciest part of this guide, the skill combos. One of the hardest abilities to use in Drakahl's combat kit is the E-grab. It's an aimed shot, which 9 times out of 10 will completely miss the enemy when used. Or maybe I'm just trash, I don't know. To efficiently utilize E-grab, it's best to combo it with an R-Quake. The stun from a successful R-Quake hit will keep the enemy in place long enough to ensure that a successful E-grab can occur. Plus, by using R-Quake, Drakahl should have the stunned enemy already in position in front of him, just waiting to be CC'd to death. In these next clips, you'll see examples of this combo in action. Depending on the situation, there may be enough time to get an auto off or two between the Quake stun and the E-grab. It all depends on how much practice you have with this combo and how ballsy you want to play. Just like with any other hunter, it's good practice to continuously move while killing essence mobs. This is even more true with Drakahl as he lacks the ability to output constant ranged damage. Drakahl's R-spin works incredibly well in this aspect as the ability functions both as Drakahl's highest DPS ability and as a great in-combat repositioner. R-spin can be used to deal damage and avoid damage taken while essence farming. When fighting hives, it's best to use both E-claw for sustain and R-spin for max deeps, while saving your dash for when you get knocked back. Always keep Sonic Boom on cooldown as it has the shortest cooldown out of all of Drakahl's abilities and adds a nice chunk of DPS to your rotation. This stays true for all combat situations. Sonic Boom is the only poke tool in Drakahl's kit, and while it may not do sizable damage, the refresh rate of the ability is bonkers. Use it as both a poking tool in combat and an opener when fighting environmental mobs. The projectile has no drop off whatsoever and will hit directly wherever the cursor is aimed at. Okay, so that wraps up this guide on how to 1v5 in Crucible as the most broken character to currently exist in the game. He's currently my main, and I find myself enjoying the combat in every match I get into, even the ones I lose. I hope this video has been beneficial, and if it has, then please remember to leave a like. Also, subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more of my Crucible content. I plan on making guides to other hunters in the future, so if there's a specific one you'd like to see first, then let me know in the comment section below. I also stream Crucible on Twitch every week, so come check me out in the link in the description. Thanks for watching. Zenode, out.